coming up on See Hear Love.
God, I know you. I've sung about you for years. I've read about you for years. I've known you for years. And suddenly you feel so far away.
You are seen, you are heard, you are loved by God. You're not alone, you're fully known, you are loved by God.
Well, welcome back to See Hear Love, and this week it's all about the men. It's the men's panel. Hey, Matt, welcome.
Melinda, great to be here.
I love the men's panel. There's so much that I learned from you guys and just different perspectives. I think that's so healthy. And this week, what a topic. Now, why, Matt? You brought this topic to me, and I was like, okay, are we ready for this one?
Yeah, I just feel like the idea of doubt being an important part of our spiritual journey is something that we need to be open and honest about. We all have doubts in different ways, and then how do we have faith and follow Jesus, and yet be honest that we have doubts, and how do we wrestle with this, that, these questions, and so felt like this is a good topic for us to talk about together.
It is such a great topic, and I'm so glad we're also joined here with Chris Chase and Art Kung. Welcome, guys.
Hey, boys.
The matching red plaid, we didn't get the memo, Matt and I, clearly.
Clearly. Boys are looking sharp.
You guys are looking good. And are you ready for this conversation?
I doubt that we'll have any problems.
Okay, that's good. Get ready. Okay, well, I guess my first question for you guys is, as I kind of am objective and sitting back here, I feel that men really struggle with sharing that they're doubting, or have questions in their faith. And I want to know, why is that? Why are men afraid to share honestly about that? Chris, what would you say to that?
I think it's because we've grown up accustomed to the Gary Cooper strong silent type. We're used to, as men, having this idea that we're not supposed to doubt. There's so much on our shoulders. We're supposed to be the ones with the answers. And so doubt kind of plays with the matrix. It kind of destroys the ideal of who we're supposed to be. And so because it destroys that ideal, we're not used to talking about it, because to talk about it means that there's something wrong with us.
Oh. Okay.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
I'll add one other thing into that. I also feel that for some people, they're actually not afraid to talk about it, that this journey into doubt and asking questions has become now more normal for them. And so they want to tell people about it.
Okay.
Because maybe for a while they've lived where they felt like they couldn't talk about it. And now they're like, I'm going to tell everyone. And it's kind of become not identity, but a place of saying, this is where I'm at now. I'm not ashamed of it. If I felt like I couldn't talk about it before, now I don't have any of that feeling. I feel like I can. And I'm going to let everyone know. I'm doubting
Okay, so it's
these
almost
things.
the two opposites.
Yeah,
we're like,
the
we didn't want
spectrum.
to say anything, and now we're
This is
wanting
who I
to say
am.
who I am. Okay.
Yeah.
Art, your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'm a blend of both. I think for us older folks, we understand that you're supposed to be have it all together. You're not supposed to show vulnerability. But when I think of my son's age and the 20-year-olds, the mid-20s, these guys, it's cutting edge to doubt things, to question things. It's cutting edge.
Right.
You're in front of the pack if you're questioning and you're expressing thoughts that people don't think about. I think it's sexy.
Yeah.
Oh, so doubting is sexy. Whew, okay.
I think doubting is sexy. It's
Almost like if
Wrong
you
word.
don't have those doubts, what's wrong with you? Like that's
Right.
you should be having those things.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that really?
Yeah, for
you
sure.
should question everything.
Yeah, I was just going to quickly say, it's, to Matt's point, we're now living in a world where people love sharing everything, but there's no sort of template on how to do that. And so they share everything and trying to find that middle ground as to how much you share, how little, because the generation before was like, you don't say anything.
Right.
Right.
And the generation that we have now is like, you share everything and then some. Hashtag honest post on Instagram. And so trying to figure out those two blends is a challenge.
Right.
Well, I think this is good. I think the conversation we're talking about faith after doubt, having doubt but not remaining there, that's a theme for today. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah. He is an author, speaker, and public theologian. Brian McLaren, in his latest book, is called Faith After Doubt, written for millions of people all around the world who have really been struggling and feeling like their faith is falling apart. So we had the chance to sit down and chat with Brian about this, to talk about his model for faith development, moving from simplicity to complexity, perplexity, and then to a place of harmony, which I think offers a path forward for people to move beyond that sense of doubt into a more committed place with Jesus. So here's some highlights from that conversation.
At the end of the book, and the very end, I talk about this realization I had while I was writing. And the realization was this, that all of my doubts at the end of the day were doubts about one thing, and it was the idea of supremacy. And I realized that the version of Christianity that I inherited was thoroughly, every part of it was flavored. I want to say poisoned, but I'll say flavored with Christian supremacy. But then I realized that a big part of that Christian supremacy was white supremacy and male supremacy. And suddenly, part of my theological reconstruction has been to understand Jesus as, in a sense, subverting supremacy. When he gets down and washes the disciples' feet, he's saying, everything you're thinking about a people getting at the top, I'm going to the bottom. I'm setting an example for you. The whole idea of supremacy is a flawed idea. I'm not offering you a new plan to get to the top of the pyramid. I'm saying, stop trying to climb the stupid pyramid, right? Here's the thing. A whole lot of people want to put their faith back together, but now I believe, I certainly could be wrong about this, but I believe that if the Holy Spirit is working in us, the Holy Spirit's trying to get us to the point where we leave these supremacies behind forever, because they're not reflective of God, they're not reflective of Jesus. So first, I would put two words together, the word mystery and the word humility. Because, one of the reasons we don't recognize mystery is because we are proud and think I should be able to understand everything, right? So mystery and humility really go together. There's a humbling that happens in these stages, and especially in stage 3, where we finally reach the point we're able to say, I don't know. I don't know. I trust. I hope. I love. Isn't it interesting? Paul says faith, hope, and love are the greatest things. And so instead of saying, I know, we say, I hope. Instead of saying, I know, I say, I trust. Instead of saying, I know, I say, I love. In fact, right in that same chapter, Paul says, we know in part. Our knowledge is always partial.
Yes.
So this is part of maturity. And in fact, but here's our problem. Stage 1 has defined Christianity for so many people for so long that we think that's normal. I think in 500 years, they'll look back and see these recent centuries of Christianity as this really dark period where they thought they were so great and they really had lost the plot. And that's not to put down anybody. It's just to say these things happen. And I think this process that we're in, it's not just important for us and our spiritual well-being. It's important because if we have another 500 years of arrogant, know-it-all white Christians running around the world trying to tell everybody else how to live and what to do, they are not doing a good job of it. And I don't think the world can. Well, in fact, a First Nation scholar in Canada, Wazia Towan, said, I don't think the earth can sustain 500 more years of that kind of Christian domination. It has to change,
It's our first ever See Hear Love conference coming on Saturday, March 26th, 2022, and the theme is Making Space. Making space for life-giving friendships, leading yourself and others well, for loving your neighbors, and for Sabbath and rest. We hope you join me and our See Hear Love co-hosts and special guests, along with our amazing keynote speakers, Annie F. Downs, Joe Saxton, Holly Forche, and Shayla Visser, for an afternoon of fun, laughter, celebration, friendship, prayer, and tons of learning and activities. We'd love for you to join us March 26, 2022. And for more information, go to seehearlove.com/conference.
Hi, this is Becca, the associate producer of See Hear Love. See Hear Love is committed to reaching the next generation of millennials, like me, and Gen Z by meeting us where we are, on web, YouTube, and our See Hear Love podcast. Join us on YouTube for extended interviews and the After Hours web show, and listen to the podcast as Melinda goes in depth with our featured guests and shares her own personal thoughts. I hope to see you there as we listen and lean into the conversations that matter.
All right, so much to talk about. Let's jump right into it. Chris, I'm going to start with you. Have you experienced doubt in your own spiritual journey? And what was that like then for you?
I've never experienced doubt, and I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you crazy?
Like, how dare you? No, I had some mental health challenges probably in 2016. And I remember the doubt was, am I ever going to be the same person ever again? Where is God in the midst of this pain? Because it was like a short circuit in my brain that went to my body and nothing was making sense. And so this idea of like, God, I know you, I've sung about you for years. I've read about you for years. I've known you for years. And suddenly you feel so far away. And having this understanding of, so what does that look like and mean for me? That was a really, really, really interesting experience to go through for myself and for my family.
Right. Did it leave you feeling like unnerved, like loosened as you kind of were going into those places?
Just afraid.
Right.
Afraid. Because there's so much that's compacted. It's your life, it's your career, it's your story, it's who you've said you've been for years, and suddenly none of that makes any sense. And so you start, not only do you doubt God, but you also doubt yourself in God as well. So it's a really scary experience.
Yeah. How about for you, Art?
Yeah, I've had so many measures of doubt throughout my life, whether it was early on when I first became a Christian. You know, you doubt every week whether you're a Christian. So every time there's an altar call, you go back up. Every week you were doing that, right?
You got to make sure, right? Like
you got to make sure. Billy Graham's coming again. Let's go get saved again. And so doubt happened throughout my early Christian years. But I think even later on, like Chris was alluding to, when you're in ministry and you're doing stuff and you call yourself by this name as a Christian, as a representative of him, maybe vocationally, how can you doubt? You're supposed to be the solid and the expert, and when you have doubts there is part of this stuff where Chris was talking about earlier, is that's the shame. You can't share possibly with anyone else, especially if you're mentoring people.
Yeah.
Sometimes these doubts are really hard, and you don't know what to do. There's fight and flight. There's also freeze. Sometimes we freeze in our doubt, and we don't know what to do. And so. Yeah,
I relate to that. I remember the first time I was kind of wrestling with some of these things myself when it came to like different theological ideas, constructs, different passages of scripture, and it felt like, am I allowed to actually take this brick out of the wall of my faith and like look at it from other angles? And what happens if it was there and I feel like it belongs here? And it felt like, am I allowed to even do this? And it felt very foreign and strange. Kind of a scary place to be. I think Chris used the word scary in the beginning. So let's talk about then, we've all experienced it in different ways. What have you learned then about the value of doubt? How have you seen that to be a valuable part of your growth and relationship with Jesus?
I think it allows, questions are okay. Sorry for that sentence to come out so broken up, but questions are okay. And we're in this season now, it's a buzzword, deconstruction. And I think deconstruction to reconstruction is the key. The value of doubt is it allows to reconstruct what your faith looks like and how to build it and who it's built on. And also the value of community, to have people around you who are willing to sit with you and coach you through and wait with you until you're able to kind of go, okay, this makes sense for my journey moving forward. Yeah. So there's value to it because it allows you to kind of stop and go, so who am I? Who is he? This is who he is. This is who I am. And this is what he wants me to do moving forward.
You know, Chris, I just want to say this, and maybe to you guys just as a quick question. For somebody who's watching this process of your doubt, how is it the best way to respond in community? Because I know there's people going, I may not be there, but I know somebody who is.
Yeah.
And how can I be loving and respond? Because I could be saying the wrong things that could be harmful.
Right.
Like, what would you say? Like, how can I best support you through that?
I would just say be there. My natural propensity is to be an answer person, to be a fixer. Don't ask my wife about that because then I won't be able to do the show anymore. But this idea of like always having an answer for stuff. And sometimes the best answer is just being there with somebody.
Yeah.
Being there and listening and accepting all of the stuff that comes out. and every so often coaching and encouraging along, as opposed to giving an answer. Don't stop doubting, just believe.
Yes.
You ask me how I know
Not
he
what
lives
to do.
within my heart. That's not what they need at that moment. What they need is a friend. What they need is a sibling to kind of say, I've got you, I'm with you.
Yeah, someone who
that's
jumps
good.
in and just dismisses it with like a passing comment. Just believe it's okay. That doesn't help at all.
That's good.
How about you, Art? What
No,
have you
not
learned
at
about
all.
the value of doubt in your own journey?
Yeah, it's similar. I think doubting means that you're analytical, means you're giving it real thought. If it's nothing to doubt, it's just too solid and too stable. It's like, is it worth having faith in even? I mean, I don't have to have faith in my cup of coffee because I know it's right there. But do I have to have faith that whoever made it didn't poison it, didn't do something awful? There's no COVID in there or whatever it is, right? Am I allowed to question things? Absolutely. And when it comes to faith, something as valuable as a life with Jesus, how could you not have questions? How could you not? If you didn't have it, then maybe you just understand a very shallow part of it. And so I believe in giving freedom to doubt, to question. I did that raising up my son right from early years. Why do we do this? Well, saying because dad said so is not good enough.
Right.
There's a reason. Let's discuss this. Do you value this? Why do you value this? Why do you not value this? And so having doubts really helps you to suss things out. It's like you talk about deconstruction, and I just went through a 5-year reconstruct of my back deck. And why it took 5 years? Because I froze. After I deconstructed what was wrong, I found what was wrong. I was just overwhelmed and overcome with what was wrong. And how do I move forward and fix it? Do I have the ability to fix this?
Yeah.
I can't afford to fix this. And you have all these.
That's the one.
things. That's the one, right? So it's valuable to doubt because you're tearing things apart and finding what's wrong so you can find what is sustainable and good.
Yeah,
That's
I
good.
feel
Matt,
like
what about
doubt.
you?
I feel like doubt gives us the permission and the space to own our faith for ourselves. So it's like the transition. At least for me, it was a transitionary period where instead of just believing things because I was always around it or taught to just believe these things, it gave me kind of the territory to break things down, ask questions, dig in, so that I could own my faith for myself. I felt like, and this is why I believe. And so it was so important to get to that place with Jesus. I had to be able to mess everything up and dig in on stuff that made it difficult. And not that that was always easy,
Right.
but it allowed me to get to that place. So I guess that leads perfectly into our next question. Chris, we'll start with you. So what then does unity or harmony look like for you? Brian talks about it in his book, the state of perplexity or doubt, and then we move to this place of harmony and unity with Jesus. So what does that look like for you on the other side of doubt?
I think you kind of illustrated it, and I would put it this way: it's being in the sandbox with Jesus. And sand is messy. Sand is, like we have kids and we've gone to the beach and you're coming home and there's sand everywhere all the time. But to know that you can be in the mess with him,
Right.
and you're
That's
both
good.
trailing
Yeah.
sand when you're walking away from the sandbox together, and he's making sandcastles with you, and he is digging with you, and he's allowing you to be. He's in the mess with you. Unity with him is being a part of that and not feeling like you are making something and going, saying, Jesus, does it look okay? Does it feel okay? Are you proud of me? But he's actually going like, actually, we should actually use a couple more buckets here.
Yeah.
And he's actually in the mess with you, walking with you while you're deconstructing, as opposed to watching you from an observation perspective, that God is watching this sort of thing.
Yeah.
He's actually in the mess with you.
Yeah,
I like that. I love that
keep
visual.
Keep digging, keep building.
I keep building. It's messy. I
Yeah.
love that visual because I think that for even some of our own experience, we've been brought up with a very neat and tidy way of doing
Yes.
a relationship with Jesus or church. It's always been this way. Here are the very clear boundaries, and
Yeah.
this is the yeses and nos. And I think now it's time in this moment to say, no, it's actually messy and there are questions and there's doubt. But isn't that the exciting part of it? Isn't a sandbox amazing? You can create things
Yeah.
and be dirty and there's no judgment in that?
Yeah.
That's a great visual.
100%.
I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. Art, how about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the exact same analogy, but not the sandbox. Back to my deck, the messy part when I sat there, just in the muck of it, and plywood for a deck board, And, all that stuff pulled out, digging up things so you can rebuild its foundation. But having someone that I could consult with me along that journey was the moving part of it. I would have stayed there if I didn't have my friends who said, let us help you. Let us figure this out together. And then stand there together with me. Oh, we got to dig this out. We got to level this out. We got to compact this. We got to do that. Did all that together with somebody. That's when you're doing it. When you're doing it with Jesus, when you're doing it with the word, and you can analyze things together, you don't go and create your own deck by yourself with your own, you don't create your own religion. You don't create your own stuff. Yeah. It doesn't work. You have to have consultation with the experts. My contractors, without paying them, they're just my friends. Just get them come in. They get their hands dirty. They teach me things along the way. And then I can ask questions. Why are you doing that? Why does that have to do this? Well, if you did this, it's the 3-4-5 rule. That's how you know it's square. And I'm like, what? And you're learning things along the way.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah.
That's good. Matt, what about you?
1 Corinthians 2, Paul says, I resolved to know nothing but Jesus and him crucified. And I think that's what this journey has taught me, is that all these things that were on the outside that seem so central, I've been able to let them be what they're supposed to be. Not that they're not important, they're totally important. But the most important thing is Jesus at the center. You were using the bounded kind of idea, and this is like a Jesus-centered idea, right? These things are all important, theological ideas, constructs, but I've learned to let them be what they are and then just keep Jesus at the center and be okay a little bit with there's some stuff I just don't fully understand or fully know. And I know the perspectives, but it's like Jesus at the center. And that's given freedom and life for me.
I like that. And just quick, Jesus at the center for all three of you, because people are like, we want to be there. We're tracking with you guys in this conversation. What would Jesus at the center mean for you? Chris, what does that mean for you?
For me, it means that it means I'm not alone. He's there with me at the center of it. And two, just piggybacking on Matt's thought, that he's the centrality where he's the middle of the wheel. And we often care about the spokes.
Yes.
Right. But if there's no middle, the spokes have nowhere to go, and the wheel collapses. He's the thing, the key component that keeps the wheel actually being a wheel. And so unity with him knows that I'm there and the wheels keep on turning because he's there in the middle with me. I know. I
love that.
That's
so
good.
that's
good,
my thought.
Good image. Art, just quick, what does that mean, Jesus at the center for you?
Jesus at the center for me is, what does it mean to be a Christian is to follow Christ. And Chris and I were talking about this earlier. We have this idea that we love to be at the foot of the cross, but we never like to be on it. So to be a follower of Christ, to follow him right to the cross, what does that mean? Am I willing to change my life and my values and the things that my life looks like to reflect Jesus more? I think that's what Jesus at the center.
That's really good.
Great.
And then for you, Matt?
It's all these
things?
things. It's like fix your eyes on Jesus, keep him at the center, and through him interpret and understand the other things.
I love it. So appreciate your thoughts, and we're going to continue some good thoughts as we go to the good word to Chris Orm, who's going to be talking about reframing doubt and what he has learned about doubting Thomas in Faith After Doubt. Let's go to Chris now.
Thanks, Mel. This is such a great discussion. Many of us have heard the phrase doubting Thomas, and it refers to that time in the Gospel of John when one of Jesus' disciples, a guy named Thomas, was listening to his friends talking about seeing Jesus after the resurrection. They had seen Jesus, they had encountered the risen Christ, but Thomas wasn't with them. The other disciples, in their fervor and excitement from seeing Jesus, they share the news. They run in, they say, "Hey, we've seen the Lord." And Thomas responded the way that I think most of us would. He says, "Until I see his hands, until I feel the wounds of the nails and put my hand to his side, I won't believe what you're saying." And later that same week, they gathered again, and this time Thomas was with them. And the Lord appears again, and this time he walks right up to Thomas, and he says, "Thomas, reach out and touch me. See the punctures in my hand. Reach out your hand, put it to my side, and leave behind your doubt and believe." What strikes me here is that Thomas, full of questions, full of doubt, is pursued by Jesus. Jesus approaches him. Jesus pursues him and invites him closer. It's almost as if he is saying, okay, Thomas, I hear you. I get that you're doubting, but here I am. Here are the wounds. This is what you asked for. Come closer. In the church, we talk a lot about the amazing exploits of the disciples and the early Christians. We talk about Peter's sermons. We talk about Paul's missionary journeys, miraculous acts of healing, entire cities turning to faith in Jesus. But there are some church traditions, particularly in the Eastern traditions, that tell amazing stories of the Apostle Thomas, traveling as far as India with the good news of Jesus. Thomas, the doubter, went further than any early disciple in sharing the gospel with people. Doubt is not a disqualifier. Having questions is not enough to change Jesus' mind about you. Thomas was still part of the community. His doubt didn't take him away from the relationships and friendships he made with the early followers of Jesus. So my prayer for all of us as we focus and think about doubt is that we will have the grace for those asking questions, that we will have the grace for ourselves as we wrestle with doubt. And may we always know that the invitation that was offered to Thomas to draw near, to come closer, is offered to us as well.
Thanks so much, Chris. All right, guys, what would you say then to someone who is struggling in their faith and with doubt? What would you say to encourage them today? Chris, Chase, you first.
Doubt is not sin. Doubt is not wrong. Doubt is not singular. You're not alone. Doubt is soul giving and soul searching because it's with you in the midst of the mess. That's what I would say.
Wow, lots there. Awesome. Art, over to you.
I think the same thing, but you're not alone. Enjoy the season that you're in and embrace the community around you. And don't be alone. Choose not to be alone in this. Struggle with people.
It's good.
Beautiful.
Matt, what about you?
Yeah,
What would you say?
I would just say, do it with people. Remember, Jesus is right there with you in it, and he's fine with all of your questions. It doesn't freak him out. It doesn't scare him. Like, toss it all out. Be okay with that. It's okay.
I love it. You know what, guys, I really appreciate your honesty. I think that you are giving hope to men who are hidden and feel shame with how they're feeling. I think what I'm just hearing is that you're giving, sort of space and opportunity to say, you know what, speak up, share, and be in the sandbox with Jesus. Yeah. Like, be messy in all of this. It's okay. He's not threatened or afraid. Yeah. So I really, really appreciate your thoughts. Thank you so much, Chris, Art, Matt,
yeah, thanks, guys.
For your thoughts. Great conversation. Well, if you want to join this conversation, go to our Facebook and Instagram pages and look for this graphic and share your thoughts about doubt and your journey. Also know that the full conversation with Brian McLaren is on our See Hear Love podcast, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And if you want more content and episodes and fun and inspiring content, go to our YouTube channel and seehearlove.com for blogs and resources. And here's what I want to say as we go. Remember this: if you're doubting, God knows, and he's not afraid of it or threatened by it. His posture is for you. His love is great for you. And he is with you on your spiritual journey of discovery and mystery and sandbox time. He doesn't want you to remain in doubt, but to find wholeness and unity with him. He is patient, he is waiting, but also do the deep and hard work of seeking him out, leaning in, pressing in, praying, studying, being in community. Again, he is with you on this journey. And as you go on this journey and search out truth and understanding, know that you are seen, heard, and loved deeply, completely by God. Thanks for joining us. Great job, guys.
Beauty.
Good job, Matt. Art.
See Hear Love thanks our partners who make this show possible.
Thank you for your ongoing support of Crossroads, a supporter-funded, nonprofit organization and member of the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities. Thanks to faithful people like you, we are able to continue producing See Hear Love. You can write to Crossroads, P.O. Box 5100, Burlington, Ontario, L7R 4M2, or visit crossroads.ca to learn more about our programs.